In this video, we're going to show you how to manage CareLink appointment types, show you how some of the different configuration items work, and how to add new appointment types to your account. So system administrators can manage CareLink appointment types under Configuration, Edit Types, Appointment Types. And here you'll see a listing of all of your CareLink appointment types. Now, when your account is first created, you will have up to 10 appointment types. CareLink does support up to 35 different appointment types. If you need more appointment types added to your account, please open a support ticket, or you can email us at support@mymobilepracticemanager.com. It will take about 1 business day to add additional appointment types to your account. So here is where you can see all of the different appointment types. So you'll see the appointment type name. You'll see a sort order. So the sort order is used if you want to have different groupings of appointment types. Maybe you've added appointment types later on in your account, but you want to group existing appointment types together. You can simply change the sort ordering of different appointment types, and then that's how they will appear. And then there's a couple other configuration items we will talk about. So here is where you can set the default visit frequency for each patient. And as you recall, CareLink can notify you when patients are overdue for a visit. So one thing to note is that if you do set a default visit frequency, this default frequency will appear for all of the patients that get added to your CareLink account, either through your EMR integration or when you add them manually. Okay. There's also a configuration item here that says schedule before, and this one will highlight you that the patient needs to be scheduled when they first come on before a given number of weeks. Okay. And if a patient is past their schedule before date, that patient will also appear as overdue. Then you'll also notice that we have a duration and a duration for a new appointment. So in CareLink, you can mark an appointment as a new patient appointment. And if you use the default duration, it will use the top line. If it is an established or a non-new visit patient, it will use the bottom if it is a new patient visit. So we typically know that first-time patient visits may take additional time. You can go ahead and set that up for the default. And then we also have your EMR mapping. So in CareLink, each CareLink appointment can be linked to up to 4 different mappings that we'll send over to your EMR via an integration. So we can map a regular appointment visit, we can map a new patient appointment visit, we can map a e-visit or telehealth appointment, and then we can also map a new patient and e-visit appointment. So depending on whether the appointment is for a new patient or an e-visit, we can send over the corresponding appointment ID to your EMR via the integration. We also have something called shared visit frequency. This will allow you to manage patients that are overdue. We do have a complete training video on managing shared visit frequencies. You can go ahead and watch it here using the training video link. You can set the appointment color. There's an option here to include that specific appointment in the outbound faxing. So if you have assisted living or community faxes enabled, you can decide whether or not you want those appointment types to be included or not included. There's an option here to inactivate a patient after their first visit is complete. This is sometimes useful if you're doing one-time visits with patients or and want to set them inactive so they're no longer scheduled after a visit of a certain appointment type. You can do that. You can check whether or not these appointment types should be included in the text message and email reminders that go out. If you leave this checked, they will be included. There's the option to exclude the appointment type from the last and next. So you'll notice typically when you schedule a patient, when you view a patient on the schedule, you will see their last appointment and also any next or upcoming appointments. If you want to exclude appointments from appearing there, appointment types, you can check this box. We also have the ability to constrain a visit from being early. So this one's particularly useful when you're doing annual wellness visits and the patient insurance only allows one per every 365 days. If you have this option checked to constrain early, if you try to schedule a patient before that patient is due again for their next visit, you're going to get a simple error message that says this patient is being scheduled too soon. And then the option here to override overdue. If this option is checked, if a patient has a visit of that appointment type, it will reset the counter for every other appointment type that that patient has. So sometimes this one is useful if your practice has a medical director visit and your business process is when the medical director sees a patient, we want to not see that patient for their established visit frequency. If you go ahead and check this as override overdue, once you schedule that patient for their medical director visit, they will not appear overdue for any other appointment type until that frequency is met. There's an option to ignore the visit as a first patient visit. So this is particularly useful if you're scheduling patients from the new patient workbook and you want to schedule a patient but still have them remain on the new patient workbook. Sometimes this is useful if you go out and do an assessment with a patient and you have like an assessment visit and you want to keep the patient on the workbook until the assessment is complete and also another appointment type is complete. So using this option, you can ignore that appointment type as their first visit, which will keep that patient on the new patient workbook. And then lastly, you can make an appointment type active or inactive. CareLink must have at least one active appointment type. So the first one will be always active, and then you can uncheck active to make them inactive, or then you can reactivate. So just one thing to note is that you make an appointment type inactive, it will not delete any appointment types that you have, any appointments that you have of that existing type. It will just no longer allow you to schedule new appointments with that appointment type. And then one final thing just to note is if you need to add a new appointment type and maybe you've run out of appointment types, if you repurpose an existing appointment type, so say I went and I changed this name to some other name, what CareLink is going to do, it's actually going to go in and rename all of the appointments that you've ever done of that appointment type. So if your practice is shuffling around different appointment types, sometimes it's just really good to make one appointment type inactive and then go down and maybe add new appointment types down at the bottom. And again, if you need more than 15 appointment types or more than 10 that come with your default account, please go ahead and email us, and then we will be able to add additional appointment types for you to use.